July, which is just craziness. So, one thing real interesting off the top as we jump into our weekly stats here. So, on Global, a couple of days ago, they actually had a number out for the first 3 weeks of July. We're actually 14% up in sales year over year, and we still had a week to go. So, be interesting to see how the month plays out. So, we'll have the full wrap up next week, as we'll have our full stats package for you. But interestingly, and I said there was a bit of a shift this week, and you can see that new listings outpace solds on the detached segment for the first time in, I don't know,
2 years.
I can't,
probably.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, since earlier in the year, maybe. Still 92% sale to new listing ratio. But what I want to take note of this week is, so last week we only had 217 pendings. This week, our solds were less than the new listings. This week, our pendings are 251. So it could be reasonable to assume that we're going to have a bump up in sales again next week. So price reduced, largest it's been in 5 weeks at 149. Back on market, pretty similar to where it's been. Days on market, Natalie will get into that on the next slide. And our active detached went up slightly, but look at the total active went down again slightly. So really it's been hovering in that 2,600 for total active, not including pendings, really all month. So we're going to get a full wrap up next week. And Natalie, take us back.
In the real estate time machine. Okay, so last year, this week, we had 512 sales. This week, we've had 575. So we're up 12.3%. New listings last year were at 705. This week, we're at 785. So we're up 11.35%. Active listings last year, 5,433. This year, 3,492. So we're still down almost 36%. That's still a huge amount. Pendings last year were 778. This week, 843. And our days on market last year were 33. This year, 24. So it's down almost 27%. So,
yeah, and I just wanted to add in here real quick that we focus on the first slide on detached homes because that's the large majority of our business. But when you look at the overall segments, apartments, row townhouses, semi-detached, you do see a different picture often. And that's why it's important to have this slide on. And of course, we recap that every month. But, realistically, actually sales were up this week overall as, as were new listings. So we'll just see how the month wraps up when we do that next week. Jaden, over to you.
Yeah, and it's just that last one there, really interesting to see. 24 days on market in July is not common for us, so you know what's happening in the market, right? So slight changes in rates this week, and there's a couple of factors behind that. First off, anything on variable, you'll see that it is 0.25% more than it was. That's just the last people catching up from the rate hike there. So all rates are actually what they should be now. And then on that fixed time, that 3-year fixed high ratio, which means less than 20% down, went up significantly this week. It was actually lower than the 5-year fixed high ratio at I believe it was 5. I can't remember if I had it 524, but I had options at 499 last week. What happened, and this happens quite often, there will be lenders out there who are really trying to push volume at that particular moment. And then they get inundated with volume to a point that they can't take it anymore. And so what do? They raise back up to market or slightly above to slow that volume down, let their underwriters and everybody get caught up a little bit. And so, and that's what we're seeing in that 3-year fix. That was just a couple of lenders that were far out of market, that were just kind of hammering everybody else, can't keep up with it now, so they bump back up to where everything else is. But on top of that, we've seen, the Fed in the United States raised by another quarter point yesterday. And that has a slight impact on our bond market. Our economies are so tied that bond traders kind of react to everything that they do. And so we've seen things go up slightly across the board in that fixed conventional space and the fixed uninsurable space as well. So, 0.15, 0.2%. Nothing really drastic, but we've seen slight bumps over the last week or so here. So it'll be interesting to see as we go forward over the next couple of weeks and things stabilize on the the government's making, the Bank of Canada and the Fed making rate decisions, whether we see those fixed rates stabilize a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm. I did see a story in the news the other day that the Bank of Canada is not expected to raise rates throughout the rest of the year. Is that your understanding as well, or was that just a nasty rumor?
No, that would be a great rumor. I
Yeah.
didn't expect them to do it in July, and they did. I think they've overshot, and so there's a potential for September. Some people are still saying maybe in September. One of the things to remember is the bank is saying that we'll be back to good inflation by 2025. So they're thinking that they know what's going on 2 years out. In 2021, they said that we would have ultra low rates until at least the end of 2023. Again, they were thinking that they were predicting things 2 years out. Economists and bankers aren't very good at that. So, we'll see what happens going forward. But my expectation is that there won't be another raise, but I've been surprised before.
And you did a great presentation at our business networking group last night. And for those that are renewing right now, like in the next month or two, kind of give them your best options right now.
Yeah, for me, you've got to choose a risk profile for yourself. So I really personally, if I was renewing right now, would probably go into a 5-year variable, because I truly, truly believe by next year, we're going to start seeing rates come down relatively significantly. So you're looking at that, 6.2%, which is a full percentage point higher than the 5-year fixed. If you're not comfortable with that and you just can't stand to be watching the Bank of Canada rate announcements 8 times a year, love a 1 or 2 year fixed. They're slightly more expensive, but you can get a 2-year fixed right now at 5.99. I think there's some value there, because I really, really believe, and you would have to believe this as well, that 2 years from now, rates will be stabilized and they'll be somewhere between that 2.5 and 3.5 kind of normal rates, right? So that's what I'm talking to you about a lot of my clients. But I've had 2 clients in the last month who've got for 5-year fixed, and they're very comfortable doing that. So it's all up to what's the most comfortable thing for you.
Yeah, what works into your budget? Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, Natalie, hit us.
Hit us.
Ooh.
How do you like them apples? I sort of figured we're in the dog days of summer now, and people want to be outside and do all that stuff, but you might not have a lot of privacy. So I thought these are some good ideas just to give yourself a little bit of space, per se. So the first one is build a pergola. It's going to give you a lot more. This is big in a lot of inner city neighborhoods and suburban neighborhoods where you're backing onto somebody else. And a lot of those places have that little, low fence, and you can see literally everything your neighbor's doing. So this at least gives you a little bit of privacy, a little oasis, and you have a little bit of an outdoor living room. The next one is utilize your fencing. And I like this, that they sort of built the deck right up to the fence. That's not necessarily going to be to code in the city of Calgary, but hey, different ideas for different people. And taking advantage of that and putting lighting out there and a patio umbrella just to give yourself that space. The next one is using trees to obscure the view, which is a big one, right? If you can plant some trees in a spot where, you don't have a lot of privacy, it's just going to add that shade and that openness. And I apologize for the noise, everyone. We have our house being washed right now. And of course, he's doing on the side that I'm on right this second. So the next one is building a gazebo with privacy curtains. And I love this idea. My girlfriend in the States did this at her place, and it's beautiful. And it's also very handy. Like if it's raining or whatever, you can still sit outside and enjoy that outdoor space if it's warm enough. And the last one is installing an artificial living wall. And we actually did this on our back gate because we back onto an alleyway, and we have a little fire pit area back there. And, you got people walking down the alley, and it just sort of looked ugly. So we put some of this up, and man, it made a difference. Wouldn't you say, Mark?
100%. Yeah. It just makes it more of a space that has purpose, as you often talk about.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all I've got.
All right. So let's wrap it up here with these remaining community events for July and then some into August. We've got that extra 2 hours at Callaway Park. So that would be tomorrow is the last night for that. And then night at the Midway tomorrow at Heritage Park. Folk Fest going on this weekend. I'm not sure if there's tickets left or not. And then the International Blues Festival. That is July 31st to August 6th. I'll throw one more in here. If you're a country music fan, Country Thunder, which is coming up in August. I think it's the third weekend in August. I know we're away, but last year Costco was selling the weekend passes, so that might be something to check into as well.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go.
The dog days of summer.
Dog days of summer
The
already.
final thought.
Nope.
We're having
I
some
lost you. There you
technical
are.
issues.
And
All right.
he's back. Yeah, you're good to go, Mark.
All right. I don't
Yeah.
see myself. I think we're just going to wrap it up. The technology doesn't seem to want to work today. So we'll wrap it up here and we'll talk to everyone in 7 days when we wrap
Bye,
up
guys.
July.
Bye.